Voice of Vietnam.
This is the Voice of Vietnam, broadcasting from Hanoi, capital of the Socialist Republic of Vietnam.
Welcome to the Voice of Vietnam. I'm Ngọc Diệp, your host. On today's show, after the news, current affairs will highlight the role of the Communist Party of Vietnam in promoting national unity. Our economy segment will review activities of the 2019 National Tourism Year, which boosted tourism development and introduced Vietnam's sea and island tourism to domestic and foreign tourists. And finally, we will feature Vietnam's second National Book Awards, which once again has promoted books and reading in Vietnam. But first, here's the news. In the news headlines, Vietnam and Russia are determined to boost bilateral comprehensive strategic partnership. Prime Minister Nguyễn Xuân Phúc asks for strengthened measures to cope with the complications of diseases caused by new coronavirus. And the world reacts to the U.S. Middle East peace plan. Now the news in detail. On the occasion of the 70th anniversary of the Vietnam-Russia diplomatic ties, Party and State Leader of Vietnam Nguyễn Phú Trọng, Prime Minister Nguyễn Xuân Phúc, and National Assembly Chairwoman Nguyễn Thị Kim Ngân sent congratulatory messages to Russian President Vladimir Putin, Prime Minister Mishutin, and Chairwoman of the Federation Council Matvienko, and Speaker of the State Duma Volodin. In his congratulatory message, Party and State Leader Nguyễn Phú Trọng highlighted the close bond between Vietnam and Russia during the struggle to defend Moscow in winter 1941, and Vietnam's struggle for national independence, and during the current development of the two countries. Vietnamese leaders said the Vietnam-Russia relations has accompanied Vietnam's development and is the prerequisite to expand the bilateral comprehensive strategic partnership. Russian President Vladimir Putin praised the development of bilateral ties in the past 70 years. The Russian Prime Minister lauded the effective cooperation between the two countries in energy, industry, transport infrastructure, science and culture. The leaders affirmed their determination to make the Vietnam-Russia comprehensive strategic partnership more practical for interest of the two countries, and for peace, stability, cooperation and development in the region and the world. Prime Minister Nguyễn Xuân Phúc on Thursday warned of complications caused by the coronavirus in China at a government meeting to review the organization of the traditional Lunar New Year festival and Vietnam's response to acute pneumonia diseases caused by coronavirus. He called on officials to closely monitor the situation and form timely reports to ensure an effective response. He urged the 10 special teams assembled to deal with the outbreak to proceed with care and making no mistakes. The government is closely monitoring the epidemic and will mobilize more resources and forces to prevent the outbreak. We are controlling the situation, but the risk is high because we border China and has a lot of trade and tourism exchanges with China. We need to be strongly resolute in fighting the disease. The Prime Minister asked travel companies not to bring tourists to affected areas and vice versa. He stressed the importance of increasing communications on disease prevention and response and updates the public with the disease development. Communications play a very important role, and we need to strengthen communications to update the people on the disease and to help them not to get panicked. They should be aware of the risk to take prompt preventive measures. The Ministry of Construction has asked the Civil Aviation Administration of Vietnam to stop licensing flights from Vietnam to coronavirus-affected areas in China and stop all flights from affected areas to Vietnam. The ministry has also warned to limit flights to and from China's affected areas. Lê Thanh Tùng, director of Da Nang International Airport, said,
Không có chỉ đạo cả các phải thấy là vẫn bình thường. Nhưng mà những cái vùng dịch á,
The Civil Aviation Administration of Vietnam has asked airlines to conduct regular flights. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs has not issued visas and tour licenses to coronavirus-affected areas. Some Chinese airlines will suspend flights to Da Nang on February the 1st. Other airlines have recorded very few or no passengers on flights to China. Over the past 2 days, the number of passengers on flights to Chinese localities has plunged, causing empty flights. Prime Minister Nguyễn Xuân Phúc attended a ceremony to launch a tree planting campaign in Chân Yên district in Bai province on Thursday. Prime Minister Phúc said the government and localities have set a target of achieving a forest coverage of 42%, earning at least $12 billion from wood and wooden furniture exports this year and $20 billion by 2025, turning Vietnam into a wood production and export mainstay in the next decade. He urged departments, agencies, organizations and local people to respond to the campaign, contributing to forest protection and development.
Một là phát động triển khai phong trào thi đua thực hiện Tết trồng cây ngay từ những ngày đầu.
The tree planting festival should be launched with a specific plan to protect forests and grow trees in residential areas to create green spaces. It is necessary to attract investment for afforestation and apply technology on selecting tree varieties for intensive plantation, sustainable forest management, and biodiversity preservation. Afforestation should be in a par with wood processing and market expansion for wood products. We target to turn Vietnam into one of the world's top wood producers and exporters in the next decade. Attending a tree planting festival in Phu Thọ province on Thursday, Vice President Đặng Thị Ngọc Thị called on all people to plant trees and protect forests as per the local conditions. Deputy Prime Minister Vương Đình Huệ on Thursday praised the State Treasury for its achievements over the past 30 years. Speaking at a meeting in Hanoi, Mr. Huệ asked the financial sector and the State Treasury to strengthen reforms and modernization, focus on investment and human resource development, and effectively manage and use state assets. Beating a drum at a military commercial bank, the Deputy Prime Minister said 2020 is a significant year in creating momentum for 5-year plan until 2025 and 10-year plan until 2030. Mr. Huệ wished the bank to see greater achievement this year and maintain its position in the top 5 commercial banks in Vietnam. And now some world news. Countries have mixed reactions to U.S. President Donald Trump's plan for peace in the Middle East. Under this vision, Jerusalem will remain Israel's undivided capital. India on Wednesday reaffirmed its call for a two-state solution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict and asked both sides to resolve all issues through direct negotiations. France's Ministry of Foreign Affairs released a statement which stresses the importance of a two-state solution to the Israeli-Palestinian issue. Qatar responded cautiously to the peace plan, saying it welcomed efforts to broker a permanent peace, but warned that it would be unattainable if the rights of the Palestinians are not ensured. Bahrain supports all efforts to achieve a just and comprehensive solution for the Palestinian cause, said Bahrain's Foreign Affairs Ministry in a statement reacting to the peace plan. The Syrian Foreign Ministry condemned the peace plan, saying it represents a surrender to Israel and their enmity toward the Arab nation. Russia will limit railway service to or from China beginning Friday, leaving only direct trains between Moscow and Beijing in response to the coronavirus crisis. Deputy Prime Minister Tatiana Golikova said on Wednesday, Chinese students who left for the Lunar New Year vacation are asked not to resume their studies at Russian universities until March the 1st. 5 regions in the far east of Russia will extend their border closure with China. The Canadian government is putting together a plan to evacuate Canadian citizens from China as the coronavirus continues to spread. More than 6,000 people in China have now been infected, surpassing the number in China who contracted SARS during the 2003 outbreak. The US and Japan have begun evacuating their citizens from Wuhan City, the epicenter of the coronavirus outbreak. Algerian President Abdelmadjid Tebboune has ordered immediate repatriation of all Algerians living in Wuhan. Human-to-human coronavirus infection cases in Germany, Vietnam and Japan are worrying and will be considered as a possible global emergency, the World Health Organization said on Wednesday. WHO Chief Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus said an international team composed of WHO staff will be sent to China, and countries should make bilateral arrangements to send their own experts. To end the news, here are the headlines once again. Vietnam and Russia are determined to boost bilateral comprehensive strategic partnership. Prime Minister Nguyễn Xuân Phúc asked for strengthened measures to cope with the complications of diseases caused by new coronavirus. And the world reacts to the U.S. Middle East peace plan. That's the news on VOV.